We have here another Jeep Wrangler. Let's check it out. The Jeep Wrangler is probably one of the most iconic vehicles on the road today. Here in the Philippines, many people dream of owning one as a toy or simply just something to brag. And that comes at a price, of course. What we have is the mid-level Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sahara, and it's priced at 4,890,000 Philippine pesos. And looking at the exterior of the Wrangler Sahara, it's a very familiar Jeep with its boxy and rugged styling. In front are its signature round headlights, which are halogens by the way, and the signature Jeep 7-slot grille, which is also their logo. Going back to the headlights, they have an Easter egg. We also have halogen DRLs and turn signals and large fender flares. And speaking of fender flares, they're huge. We'll talk more about this when we get on the road. We also have on the front bumper a pair of recovery hooks and halogen fog lights. The wheels on the other hand are 5-spoke 18-inch alloys wrapped in Bridgestone highway tires. They also have a Jeep Easter egg on them if you look closely. Another great detail here are the exposed door hinges, which gives this a lot of character. And now towards the rear, we get halogen taillights as well, and of course the spare tire mounted on the tailgate. There really isn't much to talk about here other than the split opening tailgate, which you open the lower portion to the side, and then the rear windshield going up. In terms of cargo capacity, we also don't have the exact numbers, but the Wrangler is pretty good in that regard, thanks to the rectangular shape. And also, with the second row seats down, we were able to perfectly fit the box of a 65-inch TV. Also seen here at the back is a subwoofer for the 9-speaker Alpine audio system. So now we're inside the Jeep Wrangler Sahara, and as you can see here, this looks like a balance between the Unlimited Sport, which we reviewed before, and the Rubicon. So this one has better materials, it's a bit more premium compared to the Sport, and it also looks better. So in terms of materials, we have leather on the dashboard, so it has white stitching and it looks really nice. It also feels nice, although it is not soft touch, it is rather hard for what it is, but that's expected from this kind of vehicle. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if this was still hard touch plastic. In terms of look, it's still basically the same design that you'd get. It's very Jeep, it looks very rugged, it looks very basic, which is really nice, and it really matches the characteristic of this vehicle. Also to add, here in the doors, we do have some soft touch materials, which I am actually surprised that we have right here. Then we also have our leather padded armrest and a net for our storage on the doors. So take note that these doors are actually removable. And then when it comes to the steering wheel, we do have a really big steering wheel. I actually described this to my friend as American size because as you can see, I have really small hands and this steering wheel is huge. So in fact, I have to stretch my fingers just to reach the stalks behind it. But that's okay. And then again, very big, it's leather wrapped, and then it has white stitching and some silver trim over here, which looks really nice. I really like how it looks actually. On the left, we have some controls for our screen here in the instrument cluster, then our cruise controls on the right. Then also, this is tilt and telescopic, so that's really nice. Of course, we have lots of adjustment for tilt, a little bit for the telescopic function, but it doesn't really matter because even if you put the steering wheel all the way forward, it's still actually easy to reach, which is really nice. So this has a really good driving position. Then moving here to the center, we have another screen. So the Sport didn't have a screen, this one already has one. This is a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, so it's the Uconnect system of Jeep, and well, it's quite small honestly, but at least it's very responsive, and we do have this volume knob here to avoid that radio sound. Then we also have our different stuff here, and of course we have Apple CarPlay. So let's just plug it in the USB port, which you can find behind this cover. So we have USB A, C, and an auxiliary port over there, which we were actually a bit surprised to find. So let's just connect that. And of course, Apple CarPlay looks really good, although it is quite small. So if you have a 7-inch screen, the Apple CarPlay is probably like 6 inches. But again, very responsive, very easy to use screen. I really like this. So it's not really hard to navigate at all. So this is really good. Then down here, we have some controls for our air conditioning system, our climate control automatic, by the way, dual zone. And then our volume knob, which I showed you earlier. And then our tuning knob for the infotainment system as well. We also have here our auto start stop button off button, then our parking sensors off, then we also have a button to turn off the screen. Then moving down, we have a cigarette lighter, so that's actually quite unusual now. And over here we have our window controls. So again, they're not on the door because they're removable. So we press it here, there we go, it goes down. Then you're also gonna go down right now, there you go. What I did notice is that the driver's side is automatic down, but it's not automatic up. So that's actually quite annoying. It should be automatic up, especially since they're located here and not the usual spot near the steering wheel by the door. Then moving further down, we have our four-wheel drive selector. So again, the indicators for this are located here in the gauges. Then we have our very nice shifter. So it's really nice to hold. It feels really nice. It feels very high quality. I really like this. Then like when you put it in reverse, of course, we do have a reverse camera and parking sensors, which you can hear. And the camera itself is actually very clear and has really nice guidance lines, which are quite accurate. Then moving here, we have our parking brake, just a traditional parking brake. I don't mind this because this is also what matches this vehicle, so really nice and simple. Then we have two cup holders. Our bottle fits here nicely, very perfect. And then also we have a slot here for our phone, so let's just put that there. My phone fits really nicely here. Then over here we have our two-layered storage underneath the center armrest. So there's the first layer. I have some stuff there right now, and then the deeper second layer over there. Then for the seats, they're actually quite flat, but they actually feel really nice. They have, of course, they're wrapped in leather, which feels really good. It feels very high quality with white stitching, just like I showed you here on the dashboard. And also we have the Sahara name embroidered on it, which is another nice premium touch. Okay, so now we're here at the back of the Wrangler Sahara, and it's pretty much the same as what you'd find in the Sport, except for the leather seats again. But everything here is actually nice. So we have two back pockets. We have our really nice aircon vents over here. We have our window controls, of course, and down there we have a household power socket. So you can charge here stuff like laptops or our fast chargers for our phones. And we also have lots of storage down there. Then of course, space is really good. So we have loads of legroom. Footroom is also really good, especially since I have this seat set into my driving position, so I'm 5 feet and 7 inches, and also I have lots of space for my feet to wiggle around. Then for the doors, we still have the same material as in front, so we have soft touch plastics, then our leather armrest down here, then of course our net for storage. And going back to the seats, they're actually quite comfortable when it comes to how soft they are. So they're really soft, but they are quite flat, and as you can see, I lack lots of thigh support, so the seats could be extended a bit. The seat bottom should be extended a bit for more comfort. I don't think this will be super comfortable in a long drive, but again, it compensates by making them softer. Then also we have right here a nice center armrest, so the whole thing actually goes down, almost the whole thing there. So we have our two cup holders on the headrest, space for our phone again, some storage here, and this is the latch for over here. And it's really nice and big. Also, I forgot to mention that, as you can see over here, we have our lights here in this area. So the speakers are actually up here, which looks really nice. It feels really rugged to have them here, but of course that has its purpose. Then by the way, we can also remove our roof, so in front and here at the back. Although the front one is very easy to remove, I'll show you that in just a bit. And then down here in the back, you need some tools, as well as the sides, the doors. Everything is removable in this vehicle, which is actually really nice when you're going off-road during a nice vacation. Okay, so before we get going, I'll show you the roof, how to take it out. So first, you just have to put down the visor here and then undo all the latches. So there's 4 of them. And then once you're done with that, you can just lift it up. Then maybe bring it to the trunk, maybe to the cargo area. Yeah, so it's actually pretty easy. So this one here in front, you don't need the tools. Well, those for the back, yeah, you will need them, but that's okay. So I guess now we can go. So this is actually my second time to experience the Wrangler, because the first time was when we had the unlimited sport variant, the entry-level model, for about 3-4 days. And this time we have the Sahara for a bit longer, 4 days. But anyway, so first let's talk about what's under the hood. So this still has the same engine. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, gasoline engine, that produces 268 horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque, and that is paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And so far, I honestly think this one I'm driving now is better than the Sport that we drove earlier, honestly. What I did notice right now is that this is a bit quieter. I'm not sure if it has to do with more insulation or if it's actually just the same, but Right now I feel like it's quieter. But anyway, going back to the acceleration, it feels really good. The engine's actually pretty responsive, which I really like. That's something that you don't really expect from smaller turbo engines nowadays. It's probably also thanks in large part to the 8-speed automatic transmission, because instead of CVTs that we get with other most turbo engines on other cars, we get a traditional 8-speed automatic transmission here. In fact, while driving this, you won't even feel the need at all for the old V6 engines, the Pentastar engine. By the way, to add, did you hear that lock? It actually sounds really good, so it's very satisfying to hear. But anyway, going back, this is actually really surprisingly good to drive. So right now we're going around 20-40 kilometers per hour because we're in a rather tight area, but it really feels good. So once you do need to give the car a little bit of a push, it does it really well, and it sounds really good. It doesn't even sound like you have a small engine. I really like how this car performs. And then when it comes to steering and handling, so this is basically the same as what we experienced in the Gladiator and the Wrangler Sport as well. So steering feels good. Like now we're gonna take a turn. There is a little bit of weight to it, which I really like. Well, we're not gonna turn there, but anyway, again, there's a little bit of weight to it, which I really like. And you can of course feel that the vehicle has some body roll because it's rather high. Then at the same time, there's also a little bit of a dead spot here in the steering. That's because of the type of steering that it uses. But anyway, it's not really that noticeable, and it won't really bother you. Then when it comes to ride quality, of course, it's a given that this Wrangler is a bit stiffer compared to your usual SUV. Of course, it's an off-road SUV, so that's expected. Doesn't perform the best on-road, but still, it's not as stiff as you'd get in a body-on-frame SUV like maybe a Toyota Fortuner or Montero Sport, but this doesn't compete with those. Feels about the same as something like an FJ Cruiser, but a little bit stiffer. Then of course, when it comes to smooth roads like what we are on now, of course, it's really good, so it absorbs bumps really well. What could be a bit improved is definitely NVH insulation, but at the same time, it was already expected from this vehicle, considering the fact that you can remove the roof, you can remove the doors, you can remove everything. You can basically drive this as an open vehicle. There is less insulation here, so there is a little bit of road noise, wind noise, especially considering the shape of the vehicle. So that's that, but it's okay. Right now, there are a little bit more rattles than I would like, but I also kind of expected that. It was actually much worse in the Sport before, but here it's pretty quiet, although we have to consider the fact that I am actually one of the first to use this particular unit. It only has 147 kilometers on its odometer right now. Now let's talk about visibility, which is surprisingly really good on the Wrangler. So we have our very flat windshield, our very flat windows, which are all huge, so those are all good. There's no problem at all. Then we have the reverse camera, which I showed you earlier, which is very clear. The only problem with visibility here is the wheel arches in front. So they're actually really big, and you can actually not see them when you're going through tight spaces, so you might end up scraping something or hitting something unexpectedly because you cannot see them at all. So you actually have to sit a bit higher to be able to see them, and that's only the driver's side. You'll actually never see the one on the passenger side, but maybe eventually you'll get used to it. Now in terms of fuel economy, you won't really expect high fuel economy numbers for a vehicle like this. Of course, it's an off-roader. You don't really expect that, but anyway, we're still able to get decent numbers. So in the city, I was able to get around 7 to 8 kilometers per liter, while on the highway, we were able to get a decent 12 kilometers per liter. So that's pretty good already for what it is. Now to end this review, this is the Jeep Wrangler Sahara. Any worth it? So for me, I think it still is. So definitely, this is not the car for everyone. It's not something to choose for everyone. Not everyone wants a car like this, but for those who want it, they will definitely buy it, because people who buy this will buy it because it's a Jeep, simply because of that. It doesn't really matter if it drives the best, doesn't matter if it sips the most fuel, doesn't matter if it drives bad, doesn't matter if it's not the most comfortable. People will buy it because it is what it is.